Hello YouTube, this is Troy again and welcome back to the channel of The Lonely Wolf. So today I'm going to be launching a new series of videos. So it's called How Does It Work? So it comes from the perspective of myself as a mathematics support teacher. And so my intended audience is really for students. So perhaps you might be struggling with mathematics. And I'm also specifically targeting parents of mathematics. So if you're having trouble explaining concepts to your children, when you're doing homeschooling, or it could be helping with homework, then I'm here to really offer my assistance. So in the comments below, if there's a topic that you'd like me to cover, then please leave that in the comments below, and I would love to take on the challenge of trying to break down a concept. So the reason I've called it How Does It Work is because I want to break down some of the concepts about why we do the things we do, because in mathematics, we tend to learn things a lot better when we know why we're doing something. So today we're going to be looking at a very specific topic, and this is the first one I tried. So this one is going to be about dividing fractions. There is a process in which we divide fractions. There's an algorithm, and a lot of students have it drilled into their minds. So today we're going to explore how does it work? So why do we actually do it this way? And why do we follow this procedure? So it's going to be based on two different approaches. So I'm going to take an investigative approach, and I'm also going to take another approach that you'll see shortly. Now, this is a really good thing. So as I said, sometimes we have a better understanding of things when we know how they work. So as I said before, so I'm welcome to any suggestions. So if you have a request for a particular topic that you'd like me to break down, then by all means, please leave it in the comments below and reach out to me. So let's have a look at how the procedure gets taught. So just to go over what that is, just in case you're not aware of how we do that. So the procedure that we learn in school about dividing fractions is that we multiply the first fraction by the reciprocal of the second fraction. Okay, so reciprocal is just a fancy word for flipping the same fraction upside down. Okay, so the second fraction will become 5 over 4 instead of 4 over 5. That's the reciprocal. Or sometimes people will call this the same times and flip rule. Okay, that's a colloquial way of putting that in there. Okay, so let's do this as an example of what we have to do. So this is the what. Keep the first fraction the same, 2/3. Now your divide turns into a multiply, and your second fraction, you have to take the reciprocal of it. So the reciprocal is the upside down fraction. So 4 over 5 becomes 5 over 4. Now I could take it a step further if I wanted to and simplify that down a bit. So we have 2 and 4. Let's circle those. So the common factor is a 2. So if I divide the top and bottom by 2, I'm going to get 1 and 2 respectively. So the answer to that question is the top is going to be 1 times 5, which will give 5, and the bottom number is going to be 3 lots of 2, which is equal to 6. So far, that's the procedure that we had. So let's dig into that a little bit deeper and get into the guts of this piece of mathematics. So why do we actually do this algorithm? So I'll just go back to my normal color. Now, the first thing we're going to do is try an investigative approach. So we're going to look for a pattern. So let's have a look at a couple of number facts. So 16 divided by 8 is equal to 2. So I've deliberately changed the second number into a fraction because 8 is the same as 8 divided by 1. Right, 16 divided by 4 over 1 equals to 4. 16 divided by 2 over 1 is equal to 8. And 16 divided by 1 over 1 equals to 16. Now, have a look at those really, really closely. Pause if you want to, and see if you can see a pattern. Okay, so you've unpaused. Okay, so the pattern is that every time we're doubling the size. So the interesting thing about investigating this pattern is that when the size of the fraction decreases, your number is increasing. Okay, so again, if you're dividing by a smaller number, the result is going to be bigger. Now, in fact, it's going to be times 2. So each time we're doubling. Okay, so that means when I'm halving my second fraction, so these are the ones that are all getting halved, then my result is doubled. So let's go to the next logical sequence of what would happen. So what would be the next half? Well, the next half, a half of 1 would be a half. So we could guess that 16 divided by a half would be double of 16, which would be 32. Okay, so let's test that theory out. And lo and behold, we're correct. Okay, so again, we just times by 2 because when I'm halving the second fraction, I'm getting double the answer. So 16 divided by a half is getting 32. But wait a minute, that's interesting, but that's also the same as 16 times 2 also gives us 32 because we're doubling. And it's equal to 16 times 2 over 1 because 2 has artificially been made into a fraction by saying 2 over 1. But wait a minute, look what we've done here. We've turned the divide into a times, and we've also flipped our second fraction upside down. So that is one way in which we can use it. So investigation is a very powerful tool to understand what's going on. Okay, the next explanation I'm going to offer you might be a little bit more complicated, but it's a more sort of definitive way of doing that. And you could prove that with algebra if you really wanted to replace numbers with letters, but we'll keep it simple for ourselves. Okay, so multiplying a fraction by a reciprocal. So this is one of the key concepts that underlies the next method I'm going to use. So what happens when we multiply a fraction by its own reciprocal? Okay, well, let's have a look at that. So if I have 2 over 3 times 3 over 2, so we have the 2 on the top and the 2 on the bottom, cancellation. We also have, let's use another color, 3 over 3 is cancelled, and everything is cancelled. And so what is the result of that? That's just going to give us the answer of 1. Okay, so when I multiply a fraction by its reciprocal, I get 1. So that's one of the key things I want you to understand if you want to follow me with the next process I'm going to do. Now remember our rule that we have. We multiply the top and bottom by the same quantity. So remember the rule. Whatever I do to the numerator, I have to do to the denominator. So I want you to remember that rule as we go forward. And we're going to try something. Okay, so let's flip our pen color. Let's go to black again. So I'm just going to rewrite this fraction just to make it a little bit easier. So it's 2/3 over 4/5. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually multiply by the reciprocal of the bottom. 5 over 4. So reciprocal 4 over 5 is the same as 5 over 4. However, I can't just introduce a number like that. I've done it to the numerator. Sorry, I've done it to the denominator. So I need to do exactly the same thing to the numerator. And let's have a look at the bottom. The fraction is still equal. So the bottom is 4 and 4 are cancelled. 5 and 5 have been cancelled as well. So that just leaves us with 1. So what that means is our final answer is 2/3 times 5 over 4. So let's have a look at how that related. The divide has turned into a multiply, just like the rule that we originally looked at, and the 4 over 5 has been flipped upside down into 5 over 4. Okay, so therefore the multiplication by the reciprocal works because of this process. So this was more of an algebraic way of breaking down that concept. Okay, thank you so much for joining me. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to my channel. And I'd also like you, I'd like you to make requests for any videos you'd like me to make. I'd also like you to get tuned in for any future music videos because I'm also going to be doing some more music covers. I've just been a bit lazy. Okay, thank you very much. So keep on learning, keep on doing the math, and I'll see you again in my next video.